What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. This is episode 6 of the show, the podcast. My name's Kenny. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode. If you are watching this week on YouTube, you will see right next to me, our boy Yayo is here. He came to stop by, have a nice conversation about the game. Yayo, what's going on, man?
All good, man. All good. Thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me. Appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. And I want to start off with a little jab here. I know Yayo is our big Red Sox guy, so I just got to present the Yankees cap right here on camera.
Do you want me to turn my hat around? I mean, we can do this all day. I'm used to it.
Hey, it's up to you. I just wanted to flex a little bit here. Not that the Yankees have much to flex about right now, but that's another discussion for another time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Red Sox fan in 2020, so there's not much to talk about.
You can look at your scope of the season right now as like the Yankees a few years ago, where they sold the parts, and maybe a year or two later you can maybe get right back into it or get closer to getting back into it.
Yeah, I think for the Red Sox are probably, instead of 1 or 2 years, probably 3 or 5. Like 3 to 5, I think that's the range where I'm saying now with the trade deadline coming, we're already just now, like 30 minutes ago, we traded Mitch Moreland. So that's just the first piece that is going to move. I'm sure the Red Sox are going to keep moving. We need young arms in the pen and in the starting rotation. That's the key. So it's going to be a tough few years. I know that much, and I'm ready for it.
And the Red Sox was one of the things I wanted to talk to you about just in general. But talking about trades, this might kind of seem different. I know Chris Sale's hurt. Chris Sale might not help you 5-6 years from now. Why not take a shot at seeing what you can get for him?
Yeah, I wonder how his market is, especially injury. He's battled injuries the last few years. He hasn't been at his best either. So I just wonder how much they can actually gain back. Maybe they're considering him like, we need him in order to get back. We're going to need him. Obviously, they're paying a lot of money for him. So I guess I don't know where their head's at as far as that. But, I don't know what they can get back right now. I feel like they may even be better off by just keeping him. And hopefully you can get a little bit of what he used to be.
Yeah, I mean, he is basically the only legitimate pitcher on that team right now. I know Eduardo Rodriguez has been a major disappointment. People go in and out of the rotation. And that's like, even as a Yankees fan, I like when the Red Sox are good. It adds a little bit of drama to everything.
I mean,
now it's a Yankees-Red Sox series right now, 2020 COVID-19 aside, is not as entertaining as it used to be.
No, and if you think about it, 2020, COVID season, short season, you're playing 10 games against each opponent in that division. Imagine if both the Red Sox and Yankees were good. That would have been amazing, even without fans. And, it's just one of those years that, we got to forget about the Red Sox and it's everybody else. The Jays are playing well. The Rays are hanging in there as well, obviously. But yeah, the Red Sox are just not – they're at the bottom there with the Orioles, which, I think we saw it coming, especially after seeing the pitching struggles from it started last year, but –
yeah, the thing is with the Red Sox, too, once they do rebuild some of those younger arms, ownership and the front office are so aggressive, it won't take long for them to get back. A couple big trades, a couple prospects hit at the right time, and you never know.
Yeah, and they don't mind spending. They're one of those big markets that are willing to spend. They got a couple of young pieces. They got Bogarts, they got Devers, who's still developing as well. Verdugo looking decent. Benintendi never reached the potential I guess they thought he would. JBJ is kind of meh. So maybe trade those parts for arms, and then hopefully Jeter Downs also. That's the prospect that they got in that Dodger Mookie trade. Hopefully he pans out as well. So I mean, it can go either way, but I think once they feel like they're close enough, they're gonna open the checkbooks again.
Absolutely. So guys, before we get into the real content of this episode, 2 quick announcements. Number 1, I want to shout out Cleveland Fan 87 on Twitter. He's the proud recipient of a signed Frank Thomas card, putting it into the YouTube camera right there. Had a little giveaway on Twitter to help get some interest in the channel, in the show. And congratulations to Cleveland Fan 87. I will be shipping that out to you shortly. Announcement number 2, totally just pumping myself up here. Made World Series for the first time last weekend. Very, very proud MLB The Show player right now.
Let's go.
Dude, I'm telling you, it was the longest climb I've ever experienced. So, like a month ago, I bought a monitor. I'd never played on a monitor before. Always a TV guy. So that explains all my struggles right there. I don't think I ever got past like 680 on a TV.
I was actually talking about this literally an hour ago on stream. If you're like a 700, 750 player and you play on a monitor, you can become a World Series player. Or if you play it on TV, and you can make the jump from 700 to 900 if you switch from TV to monitor.
Absolutely.
That big of a difference? Is that big of a difference?
Yeah, so I got a 1 millisecond response time, not an expensive monitor, like $150, just something that would work. And other than getting used to pitch speeds and pitch breaks on like Hall of Fame and Legend, it was much easier than I thought it would be, to be perfectly honest.
You start being early on fastballs that you can't explain why.
Oh, absolutely.
But that's a good problem to have, especially in MLB The Show 20, where you get rewarded more for being early than late. You know, this is not the 17 that just be late, be great, or whatever the saying was. This one, you got to be early to be successful. So you want the monitor. But again, congrats, because I know a lot of people struggle to make World Series. So, and it's a good feeling. You get stubs, you get good players, which obviously helps out for all the other things. And the first World Series is always the toughest one. Once you get the first one out of the way, it becomes a lot easier, because you get over that mental bump that you block. A lot of people block themselves when they're close to World Series, but they keep choking the last few games. So getting that first one is always huge.
And what you learn on your first push to World Series too, at least what I learned, having basically played on all-star difficulty my whole life, because I never had the monitor, you learn which pitchers perform better on Hall of Fame and Legend who get rocked on all-star. So you learn how to pitch these different ways and how to catch people off guard. It's like a learning curve, really.
Yeah, a lot of people that play, for example, in the 500 and 600 hate Kerry Wood, because, I mean, he throws hard, but he's tough to control. But if you use Kerry Wood on Legend, he's probably a top 3 pitcher.
I just prestiged him. Yeah.
I mean, and prestige version even better.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to throw 101, 102. That slurve is disgusting with the cutter. I mean, obviously you're going to need to control him, but the pitch speed difference is huge, you know? Jumping from all-star to Hall of Fame, especially on Legend, it's insane.
And you mentioned being early on pitches better in this year anyway than being late. I feel like the last couple weeks, especially, even if you're just on the wrong side of good, you still qualify as good, but you're on the wrong side. Exit velos are just trash right now.
Or you lose at least 10 miles an hour, I would say. And it may be like the good is here and the timing is right here. You were that close to being perfect, and that's enough to make it, instead of a warning or a home run, it's going to be a lazy fly ball, you know, and it makes that big of a difference. So you got to be early. You're better being early, just early, and on the left side of good than being on the right side of good.
What do you think of when they released that update to hitting, where they show you now the hitting meter and the bat track? And I think, was it a couple months now we've had that? I actually like the feedback. It's different, but I like it a lot. What do you think?
I love it. I think a lot of people ask for things, and I think that's one thing that a lot of people were asking for, like, where am I missing? What am I doing wrong? So this tells you a lot. It gives you kind of like a bigger feedback on it. So you see where you miss, by how much you miss, so you can actually work on those things. I think it's great. It gives you the launch angle. Exit velo obviously still does it. You have the power numbers there, or the hitting attributes. So you know instantly. Obviously, you're going to have swings. You're going to have plays you're going to be confused as to why didn't that get down. You're going to have your perfect line drive still. It's going to happen.
Yep.
But having that feedback, I think, is a great addition to the game.
And something the developers, I think, have done a great job this year, not just with content, because we could talk for days and days about the content, but fixing, for the most part, fatal issues. Early the first month of the game cycle, you couldn't catch a fly ball near the wall. It just wouldn't work. The hitting, they just updated with the stuff we said. I know there are still some issues with base running. I know there's still some issues with urgency from outfielders. Sometimes outfielders pick up the ball, there's a guy rounding third, and they just like take their time and lollipop it in there. But otherwise, I think they've addressed most of the big issues.
Yeah, and I think, especially considering the year that we're on, being a COVID year, we used to see, I feel like we used to see a lot more updates, patches throughout the year. This year obviously hasn't been the case, and I think the COVID has a reasoning behind it. Last year we had a lot more issues. Like, I feel people tend to forget. It's kind of like that recency bias. People tend to forget how bad the lineouts were, how mad people were at those lineouts. And this year it's a lot better. does it happen? Of course it happens. It's going to happen. But this year, we also have some good days and bad days. I feel like the game can play differently, and it feels different some days than others. But in general, it keeps improving. You know, when the game first came out, people were going crazy at how great the hitting was. We were also playing on veteran and all-star. We weren't playing on Hall of Fame and legends. So they heard the people, I guess the community complaining of how good the hitting was, complaining, and I mean complaining because everyone's scoring 20 and 30 runs. So they had to change it up, and people got mad at that back then. I mean, I still think it's better than 19, not only content-wise, but gameplay-wise, and considering everything that's going on in the world, I think they've done a good job. I mean, it's obvious that they listen to us, you know, so they work on things that the community complains and wants to see. So I'm still enjoying the game a lot, you know.
Yeah, and I think content-wise too, you know, so many of us who play this game are online players because we like the online competition, battle royale. There's a million reasons for that, but this year they started to trend the game more towards not just no money spent players, but also offline guys. You could still play offline modes and rip packs and build teams and do all this stuff. You know, I think the trend will continue that way, not to ignore online people, but just to make sure everybody can enjoy the game equally.
I mean, it's a great balance that what they've done this year. Adding Showdown is a great mode. Even online players are enjoying Showdown. You get a ton of XP, you get a ton of packs, a ton of stubs, which is great for the online players as well. But the offline players can work on that grind and not even have to worry about anything else. Conquest is still going to be a part of the game. You know, seeing the Babe Ruth grind is all offline, but the online players don't mind doing that offline grind to get a card like that Babe
Absolutely,
Ruth.
yeah.
You know? So it's kind of like a perfect balance, I think, for the online and offline, what they're doing. They added more to the offline players this year, which I think is good because there was pretty much nothing for them, right? And some people just want to play the game, build their team, and they don't even care about ranked seasons. And you have other people that only play ranked seasons. So I think it's a good balance of what they've done and how to acquire all the content. Like you got, you know, the no money spent teams. You really don't have to spend money on the game to have a team that can compete with the God Squads, you know?
You know, you might, if you're a no money spent person, it might be much harder for you to complete your collections. But at the same time, there are so many other free cards that make up for that you could, like you said, just easily fill out a roster. You know, and you mentioned the Babe Ruth grind. Part of me, I love the grind. I don't mind playing against a computer. If you get up by enough runs, you could bunt your way out of it. It's not a big deal. Part of me, though, is really disappointed you can't prestige that Babe Ruth.
I know. I feel like prestiging players is such a big win. People love it. It gives you another reason to use that card. I don't see why just make every card prestigiable. Just go for it. Just make every card prestigiable, no matter how you attain it. Just make it prestigiable. +3 on each attribute is not that big of a deal. But I feel like it gives more people seeing that red diamond. If it gives people a certain, I don't know, it makes people happier, right? So just make it prestigiable for everyone, and that's it. Like, it's not gonna make it like Babe Ruth, even though he's not prestigiable, he's still one of the best hitting.
Oh, he's loaded. He's loaded.
Mike Trout, I mean, you can prestige Mike Trout, but even without prestiging that 99 Mike Trout, he's, for me, still probably the best card in the game, even better than Mickey Mantle. So, you know, it's not gonna make a big difference. So just make everyone, you know, prestigiable.
I've been on my events grind lately. Since I reached World Series, I didn't want to ruin it, so I just stopped playing ranked, and I've been playing events. So I literally 2 days ago just prestiged Mickey and Jimmy Rollins. And in my opinion, those are the two guys that really benefit from the prestige because Jimmy gets that 80-80 power threshold. You can argue whether that's a difference or not. I think it is. And Mickey gets that diamond shield in center field. But otherwise, like you said, I mean, what is really the difference between 120 contact and 123 contact?
There's not much. And I think, like, you know, Jimmy Rollins is a great example. They gave him 77 on both sides on the power attributes for a reason. And, you know, get him prestige and you're going to see that he's worth it, right? Because a lot of people don't like it. I do think it makes a difference as well. Mickey Mantle, you're going to see some cases that are going to be like that, but Mickey Mantle, even if you don't have him prestige, he's still an insane card.
Oh, he's unreal. He's unreal.
He still has 92 speed. He still gets to everything. He's still a switch hitter with over 100 on every single attribute, right? So I mean, it's still insane cards. The content has been, again, just out of this world.
And talking about prestige cards, one of the next ones we'll probably get to prestige is Player of the Month Fernando Tatis. Just imagine, even all right. Let's just say that 99 teaser card they gave us is basically exactly the same card they're about to drop. I would imagine it's close. It can't be much different.
Yeah.
Then you prestige this guy. He's going to be
Endgame.
everyone's least favorite player to pitch to.
Yeah, he would be Endgame. That I think that was like a tease. Here's the Tatis. Make him the lightning round. Like just make him the player of the month. Give him a 99. Just transfer it there. They know how happy people were with that card.
Oh yeah, that was awesome. That was so cool.
People started playing ranked seasons that haven't touched ranked seasons in weeks.
Yeah,
because they wanted to use that card. The swing that card has is insane. A lot of people are using that Ernie Banks. Ernie Banks a lot slower, gold fielding, and he has some weird animations. So Tatis doesn't have that. I mean, and Tatis is just super fun card to use and a fun player to watch too. So fan favorite, just make him the player of the month. Give us a 99 Tatis, and I mean, I think that's what they're doing. I think that's what they're going to be doing. I'm looking at other options as player of the month. And I think Tatis should be the clear-cut player of the month card.
Yeah, it's hard to see who else could be that, like, the big reward. I mean, you could pick out 10 different guys who could be, like, the bosses along the way. But Tatis has been far and away the best player. And I think he's interesting, too, because he'll get probably the second base secondary. Yeah. And some people who don't have Hornsby, or maybe they're getting bored of Sandberg, because he's really one of the only other guys. Biggio, if you don't have him. Tatis could be a good option at second base.
Yeah, and I mean, my favorite player, Roberto Alomar, but they made it a flawless reward.
So hard to get.
Going to have that.
Yeah.
And, they made it a Gold Glove award instead of a Silver Slugger. So obviously the offensive attributes are not as high as what they could have been. But yeah, I mean, if you can even put him at second, he'll probably end up having gold defense. He's still going to be good. I think the defense matters, but also I feel like the speed. I feel like some players, like Ernie Banks, is not going to get to some balls that Tatis will because of the speed as well. So he's going to have a gun. Like, he's going to have an arm that he's going to make every play. The card is going to be insane. Like, the card is going to be – I'm using the live series Diamond now that he just got upgraded like a week or two ago. And I'm using him as my starting shortstop at the CCL, and – he's been amazing. Like, he has a home run every game.
It's funny you mentioned speed in the middle infield, because as a lifelong Yankee fan growing up watching Derek Jeter, there were always arguments about, is Derek Jeter actually a good fielder? Is he just getting gold gloves because he's Derek Jeter? I think he was a good enough fielder whose range suffered because he wasn't always – like, he was a above average speed guy, but he was not like a lightning speed guy. He just couldn't get to every ball. And that definitely makes a difference that people forget about, I think.
I think it's the new analytics is what made him a bad defender.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like a below average. Like, if we look at it at MLB The Show card, he would probably have like 80 speed with like 75, 80 fielding, right? He would be like above average, but he wouldn't be elite in either one. Derek Jeter was just a winner, and he was the one that not invented, but perfection, that jump throw. He was fun. I always respected the hell out of it. I respected how he played and how he carried those especially in the 90s at such a young age, how he came in and just became the leader of that team. But yeah, I mean, MLB The Show wise, he would be an okay card. Right?
Yeah, he'd just be all right.
We're thinking like, oh, the collection, the Mike Trout. People were thinking A-Rod. A-Rod would be a beast card. But Jeter, people were saying Jeter wasn't going to be in the middle of the year. Like in July, it's not going to come out. They're going to use him to sell games or to sell the actual game. But a card like that, he's not going to be the best card. Like, people are going to use him because he's Derek Jeter. There's a lot of the Yankees fans out there. But yeah, the average or the power, the speed, and the defense is just going to be kind of like, okay. It's going to be okay,
Yeah. A few episodes ago, I had Scuffy McGee on, so I was speaking to him a little bit just about content like we're talking about now. And we thought next year for 21, it would be super cool if on the cover – this would never happen, but we're just saying on the cover you get Jeter, Nomar, and A-Rod. And
It was all three.
imagine, especially because we're going Xbox next year,
Mhm.
it's going to be huge. Imagine the copies sold of that game.
I mean, I think so. This year we had obviously content has been amazing. We got a lot of big legends,
Mm-hmm.
Big Papi, Mariano, Sheffield, Biggio. Those are big names, legends that
Huge, yeah.
we tend to forget because they announced them early in the year. It was 7 months ago that we've known this, right? But next year, I think it's the big year. I think they know it. They're gonna open up the checkbooks. They're gonna bring
Yeah.
up a lot more new legends. I'm wanting that Clemente as a Puerto Rican
Mhm.
fan or a Puerto Rican and a baseball fan. I want that Clemente. But I don't know if it's gonna happen. But cars like that, I would love an A-Rod. I thought A-Rod would be kind of like the Honus Wagner this year because I was thinking they added Sheffield and they added Big Papi. They both work for Fox in the postseason. Same with A-Rod. A-Rod has been working on, I guess, making his image a little bit better.
Yeah.
It was one of the most hated players or
Mhm.
people in baseball for a while. So I think he's working on that. So I was like, hey, it's perfect. They're bringing the whole crew there. But I can see A-Rod coming back in the game at some point. And what better year than 2021? It's the first year that we're going to have the game on Xbox and other platforms. So just make it, just do it. I thought we would get this year Hank Aaron and Clemente next year and just have the Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, and Clemente.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, that'd be
But
awesome.
maybe next year. There's always next year.
Yeah. I think it would be really cool specifically with A-Rod because he did bounce around a little bit. Almost picture his card path like the Jackie Robinson progressions where you work your way up to like a 90-something Seattle A-Rod. Then you work your way up to a 96 Texas Rangers and then 99 Yankee A-Rod.
Yeah.
It would be a grind, but I think that would be cool.
Yeah, and honestly, he can have 99 cars all throughout. Like
He
can
could.
have
He could.
99 in Seattle, in Texas, in New York. But yeah, I love that Jackie grind. Like you get a 99 Jackie Robinson for free. I think that the same thing we're gonna end up having with Honus Wagner. He has kind of like the same. I guess it looks kind of like the same as the Jackie one. They can add more to the Honus Wagner, which Honus Wagner was, I guess, a crowd favorite last year. Obviously, it was a surprise when they dropped him, but the card was the best shortstop in the game since it came out. So especially with the 80 power threshold this year, he had like 86, 89, or 90 power. So a lot of people are going to like that. Honestly, the A-Rod can get something like that. You can get a Jeter card like that, and you can rookie Jeter and just work your way up as well. I love that, and that goes back to what we were talking about, the offline grind. You know, you don't have to play online for it. Just play offline. You can do the exchanges for players. A lot of people don't even want to play. The people that don't want to grind offline can just exchange and get the points towards the card. So
Yep.
it's perfect. I love it. I love everything about it.
Yeah, that's not only like content as far as player cards, but the variety of ways to unlock players is better than it's ever been. And I can only imagine how much better it will get because you know they still have ideas on other ways to produce cards or upgrade cards or what. I think it's awesome. It's just so much fun.
Yeah, and especially now that Madden came out, 2K is about to come out. I'm expecting some bombs to just something. They're gonna give us something. They always do, and they're still. Obviously, there's going to be a new World Series reward. The events rewards that we're getting, we just got a 98 Matt Bum, who was almost an end game pitcher last year. We get him for playing events.
Yeah.
So it's just going to get better. We still have a lot of players. Obviously, the 99 Griffey, Ted Williams, Willie Mays, Luke Gehrig,
Ty
Jimmy
Cobb.
Fox, Ty Cobb. Like there's so many. Kershaw, who was the best pitcher last year. So you know, there's still so many players left, and the ways that they can give them to us. They're just they got millions of options, and we'll end up getting them.
And now, do you think that the Mike Trout Collection Award will end up being the only big collection award? Me and Scuffy were talking about it, and we can easily see, you know, there were extra vouchers in that award that you didn't need to fulfill. Are we saving those for something else? Are there going to be more vouchers later on, or do you think this is it?
I wouldn't be surprised if they do it, but I don't expect them to do it. I think the reason why they made it easier for Trout, I think, in my opinion, it was because a lot of people never got to that Honus Wagner last year. They saw that the 60 signature series players or whatever it was too difficult for the casual gamer, for the part-time players that cannot play the game 8 hours a day. So I think that's the reason why they made it easier. So I don't think they made it easier because something else is coming. I just don't think they're gonna. I mean, it doesn't have to be a new legend or a new player, obviously, but I just don't know what else they would do. It's not gonna be better than Trout. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
technically they could, but you know, what card is gonna be better than Trout? Willie Mays, but Willie Mays was a collection reward last year, so he's probably gonna be like a boss this year, inning boss. So I don't see it happening. Would I be shocked? No, but I don't expect it.
yeah, I think that's actually a great way to put it, because Mike Trout, you can argue right now, is the best card in the game. I would personally, I'm not as good with him as I am with a Mantle or even Larry Walker. I rake with Larry Walker.
You're probably better with hitting from the left side of the batter's box. Maybe
it might be. I'm a lefty growing up. I don't know if that makes a difference, but maybe. Yeah, so I think it'll be interesting to see. I mean, we'll know within a couple weeks, I'm sure, we'll know at the end of next week who the next inning bosses are. So that'll help kind of guide us along the path. So, Yayo, we're going to talk about CCL. We're going to talk about how you've grown your following and this and that. We're going to take a quick break first, read an ad from Thrive Fantasy. Guys, I'm thrilled to be working with Thrive Fantasy, daily fantasy sports app based around player props. Thrive Fantasy has eliminated the need to do countless hours of research like other DFS apps because it only asks you about the top-tier athletes in a respective sport. To play MLB games on Thrive Fantasy, choose 5 out of the 10 player prop options to build your lineup. Each prop has a fantasy point total associated with the over or under based on how likely it is to occur. The more points a selection is worth, the riskier it is. Rack up the most points possible to win a share of the prize pool. If you're looking to play games and make money during the shortened MLB season, use promo code THESHOWTHEPOD. That's promo code THESHOWTHEPOD when you sign up for Thrive Fantasy today, and you'll receive an instant $20 bonus on your first deposit of $20 or more. Download Thrive Fantasy on the App Store or Play Store, or by going online to www.thrivefantasy.com. Sign up and prop up today. So you mentioned the CCL a few minutes ago. I think it's such an awesome concept. Not only is MLB The Show building up its community, it's encouraging viewership of their game by professional players or whatever you would consider yourself, a professional streamer. I mean, it's just why wouldn't you build your community, right? Why wouldn't you showcase the best of the best who play your game? So I guess what have your initial reactions been and thoughts about the CCL so far?
I mean, I never thought I would get invited to something like that, to be honest. Like, I started streaming, I don't know, 15, 16 months ago. I never thought I would get invited to anything like that. I never thought I would be like working with SDS on something this big, especially the first time ever that they've done something like this. To me, it's an honor. It's humbling to just be a part of it. But being a part of it it's been amazing. It's been like the content creators that are in the league. It's crazy that I'm playing with them. Like, for me, you know, like I mentioned, I started streaming not too long ago. So I've been watching Shelfie and Kooks and Movie and all of them for years now. So being in the same, you know, league and conversation with them, for me, is amazing. I think it's great for the game itself. It helps, obviously, the bigger content creators. Everybody knows them, right? But for us, for the smaller content creators like us, we're the ones benefiting most, right? This is a chance to show what we're capable of. Obviously, SDS adding the drops are just, I didn't think that was going to happen either. Yeah. So getting that drops, people love drops, right? So we get the drops. We get people coming into our streams like, oh my God, I'm here for the drops, but I actually enjoy the content. So it's helping us. It's helping promote the game as well. I can see them doing a lot more of this, you know, expanding it. I know that the original plan was to make it a little bit bigger league, but 16 teams, you know, it's still, for the first time, it's great. The prices are great, are insane, obviously. But just being a part of it, like we were talking about it on one of our calls, and we said, like, just so you know, we would have done this for free. Like, even if there was no prize pool or anything, we would have done it for free. And that's how I feel as well.
It's huge exposure. And I've been watching Shelfie and Cougs and all those guys. And Shelfie, I don't mean to put Shelfie on blast here. I'd love to get Shelfie on the show at some point. But you and him were playing a barn burner back and forth, and then you ended that game real quick, my man. How'd you turn the corner there and mercy him by the 8th inning?
The ship it special, the ship it deal. Honestly, I feel like my first few games, I was like nervous. Like I usually don't get nervous, but I was nervous the first few games, and I could see struggling. I was struggling, especially at the beginning of the game. And I think he actually came into my stream before we started the game, and because people were like, "This is gonna be a good game." A lot of people wanted to see me play him or him play me. Most people, it was me playing him. But you know, we were like, "Listen, we're gonna give the fan a show. It's gonna be like a 1-0 game in 14 innings, right?" So after 5 innings, I was up by like 2-0, or like it's actually a pitcher's duel at Chip It, where you don't see that.
You'd never see that, yeah.
Especially in Hall of Fame and custom leagues, would actually play closer to All Star than Legend. And then I don't know what happened. I got some breaks that came my way. I had some great at bats. I feel like that's been the key for me, like being patient, getting that pitch count up, confidence down. And then we got to his pen, you know, and the pen, he had a couple. Obviously, there's a 90 overall count. After that first week, there were some changes in
there were switches made. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it was just like everything started going my way as well. You know, I think I'm gonna have to face him sometime down the road.
I hope so. I hope so.
It's going right now, like we're actually tied for first place with a 6-1 record. But man, I love Shelby. It was great playing him. That's actually been like my biggest stream of my life ever. So it was a lot of fun.
Who are some other creators? I know you haven't played the entire schedule yet, obviously. Who else was a real challenge for you to play, or who else you're like, wow, I'm about to play this person?
2 days ago, I played Movie. So I play Movie gaming. I actually had a collab on YouTube with Movie when the Stage 3 Team Affinity came out. It ended up being kind of like a podcast episode. We were going to do like a top 10, 15-minute video. We ended up doing like a 15-minute video going through every player, because like Movie and I, we can just talk baseball and the show for days. So yeah. It became that. But playing Movie for me was big, especially because like I've seen him for so long. I lost the previous day against Serenity on Slugfest as well, so I may never have to. I don't want to go to Ship It ever again because of that. But I lost, so I was 4-1 and he was 5-0. So I feel like this is a chance for, again, I like the challenge. I like to prove myself. Yeah. I feel like I can compete with a lot of the players, with everyone in the league, and I can beat anyone if I'm playing well, right? So I was looking forward to the game. And it was a hell of a game too. It was a great game. So playing Movie and ended up beating him was fun. Again, I'm only 7 games into the season, so it's 15. So there's still plenty of baseball left. I still haven't played. I want to play Scuffy. I don't think I've ever played Scuffy. So I want to play Scuffy. I want to play Cougs. I want to play all of them, honestly.
It's really cool to hear, like, so many people talking about the league, so many content creators in the league are so humble when they talk about it. You know, because obviously the community, there is a sense of competition, but it's all together. Like, we're all bettering the game, and we're all giving exposure to the game. So, you know, like you said before, you're relatively new still to the streaming game. I mean, it's been less than a year and a half, and I know that's a good amount of time, but that's still kind of new on the scene. And I was in your stream earlier today, and I saw someone you played message you like, wow, I love watching your YouTube videos. I can't believe I'm playing you right now. Like, I guess how cool is that to experience? Do you still get kind of like taken back by that?
I will forever feel it's weird to me. Like, I'm a fan. You know what I mean? I'm a fan. And I get a lot of those messages like, oh my God, I cannot believe I'm playing you. You have great videos. I'm like, you watch my videos. Like, wow, I'm not even a YouTuber, right? I'm more of a Twitch guy. I started YouTube earlier this year, and it's a grind. So I just don't get, like, honestly, I go speechless every time. Like, I feel like it's so humbling, but that's what I wanted too. When I first started, I wanted to be like a positive influence. I wanted to help out people, and that's the reason why I started. I used to play a lot, but you know, just online, but with my friends. Like, we would be on PS4 parties and just talking, and I would help out. And that's why one of my friends was like, "You should just start streaming. Like, you would be good at it because you help out people." And I used to rage a lot. streaming made me non-rage, and I feel like because that wasn't what I wanted. You know, my first few streams, I had a couple kids come in, and I'm like, that's where it clicked. It's so much more than that. You know, you can have 12, 13-year-old kids. So I wanted to be kind of like a positive influence as well. And it's forever. It's always going to be like crazy. I talk to my friends and I talk to other content creators, and they feel the same way. It's like, it's still crazy that we have, like, I have people that come in, I'm your fan. I have fans. Like, what? I'm just a guy that plays MLB The Show. No, I shouldn't have fans, you know?
And, you know, you started the YouTube channel, you said, a little less than a year ago. So much different than streaming. It's obviously it's a video that's not live, but it's also your editing, which is something I'm still learning how to do so I can create on YouTube. And, you know, it's a completely different animal. So what has the YouTube experience been like?
It's been fun. It's a grind, obviously. Having a little bit of a base on my Twitch channel has helped the YouTube. I mean, I don't even have 1,600 followers, but I feel like it's still a lot on YouTube. It's definitely different. I had no idea what it was, anything about editing, so I've learned a lot about that. I've learned a little bit. I mean, my thumbnails are not great, but I've learned some with that. I get some ideas on it. I like Twitch more because I like the live reaction, the live talking to people.
Yeah.
I feel like I play better when I'm talking to chat, when I'm doing all these things. When I'm on YouTube, I got to like log in. There's not like, I'm not going to talk to myself. So I do enjoy Twitch more, but I know that YouTube is also so big. Like, it's a different audience. It can help the brand, the game, my channel. I can reach more people. I've had people, when people come into my Twitch, like, hey, I saw you from YouTube. I'm like, oh, that's weird. Like,
that's backwards.
Never told me that. Yeah. So there's a different crowd there that I would like to be able to reach as well. So I'm going to keep doing it. Again, I work full time. I go to school part time. I do Twitch. I do YouTube. So I don't have a lot of time. I cannot post like daily videos like I would like to. But I'm still going to be putting out the content there, and hopefully it reaches more and more people and keep growing it.
And that busy schedule is why I'm very appreciative you took the time to come on the podcast today. One last thing before we close the episode. I like to maybe start doing this. I talked to Scuffy about it. He's a huge Mets fan. So I asked him, which Mets cards have we never gotten that he'd love to have? So before I ask you about the Red Sox, I want to preface it with, we've gotten some pretty damn good Red Sox cards this year. Dwight Evans was a weird one. We don't need to talk about that.
But it was actually a good card. Not gonna lie, it was decent.
He's decent. Yeah, he's just not. He's not what you'd expect.
He's not the big names that we know.
Yes. But like the Big Poppy card is obviously great. The Jacoby Ellsbury people sleep on. The card's swing is so glitchy. It's so good.
Amazing. And if you prestige him 99 speed, 99 stealing, it's insane.
I mean, he still has a wet noodle for an arm in the outfield, but otherwise
just hide him in left field.
Exactly. Yeah. So the Red Sox, obviously one of the most storied teams in baseball history. There's a million players you could probably choose from, but who are some cards you'd love to see that either we've never gotten or we haven't gotten in a while?
The first name that comes to mind for me is Pedro Martinez.
Unreal.
My favorite Red Sox of all time. A lot of people may not see him as a Red Sox, but he's a Red Sox. Obviously, that 99 Cy Young Pedro Martinez would probably be the best pitcher in the game.
It would be the best card without a doubt.
He was amazing. I used to love to watch him. So having him, Manny Ramirez, I think it's obviously hitting-wise would be one of the best hitting cards. It would be kind of like an Albert Pujols. Mm-hmm. So Manny being Manny, I would like that. We're talking actually about this today. Mo Vaughn would be kind of like a
– that'd be cool. Yeah.
Big first base. I mean, another big first baseman. Yeah. I would like that one as well. I think those are like the top three that comes to mind. Obviously, I'm 32 years old. I was raised in the 90s. So those were my kind of like the ones that I know, more of. But they're still the biggest names too, So Pedro, Manny, and Mo Vaughn, I think would be the top three. There's still those, we want Jason Varitek to add another switch hitting catcher. They can make it somehow like a postseason or something, because you have to juice that card up. But him and Euclid are kind of like the fourth and fifth, having Euclid as well.
I think, like we mentioned before, I think Nomar would be really cool. It would probably have to be some sort of like prime Nomar, because he didn't really have the longevity that other guys have. And people sleep on this. It would probably only be like a 92 92 to 95 or 96, but a Derek Lowe with a power sinker would be filthy.
Yeah, and I mean, Team Wakefield is another one. We don't want knuckleballers.
No,
so.
we don't. We don't.
But Lowe, you can have multiple. He can be the John Smoltz, right? You can make him a closer. He had some closing years as well. He was the starter. Derek Lowe, especially with how OP the sinker are. I agree with you. That sinker from Derek Lowe would be very good.
All right, guys. So that's going to end this episode. But if you want more Yayo, other than popping into his Twitch streams and going to YouTube and following him on social, all those things I'll plug in the description, you should become a Patreon member. Because if you go to patreon.com/theshowthepodcast, not only will you be notified of when episodes go up and all these things, you have the chance to play me every month in a friendly, which you'll probably win because I'm honestly not that good. And
Well, serious player now, though.
Well, one time. We'll see. But secondarily, you're going to get tips from content creators that nobody else is getting. So there's an episode up there right now with Scuffy. It's about 5 minutes long. He's one of the BR gods. And, I mean, Yayo himself, obviously quite good at BR as well. But Scuffy provides some drafting tips and team-building strategies and playing tips just for Battle Royale. So if you're a Patreon member, you get that. And if you're a Patreon member, you're going to get what's coming up with Yayo, where we're going to talk a little bit more about building and becoming a streamer, becoming a YouTuber, and just kind of the benchmarks for what you need to hit and how you got to get into it. If you don't want to become a Patreon, totally understand. You have this episode to enjoy, I hope. But that's going to be it, guys, for this episode. Yayo, thank you so much again for coming on. What do you got last words here for the people?
I mean, again, thank you for inviting me. This is fun, man. I like I mentioned before, I can talk baseball, I can talk the show for days. There's gonna be a couple of things coming up, CCL related in regards to that as well. But yeah, man, thank you again for having me. I love what you got going on, so I appreciate you.
Absolutely, thank you.